was probably sometime around 2015, 2016 that I started picking individual stocks. And 2016, June 2016, I decided to buy Apple. Okay. I think I beat Warren Buffett into Apple. So I was feeling pretty good.
You could take his job.
That's right. That may be open still, huh? Well, when I say the next thing, maybe he won't be as interested. So I buy in June 2016, and I'm not exactly sure what was going through my head, but I sold just over a year later. Okay, I was up like 50% in a year. You know, I got the long-term gains, taxes. I'm feeling good. 50%. If I had held that position, I'd be up over 5 times in a little under 5 years. So a 41% compound annual growth rate. And I just wanted to pull something up, see if I can share my screen. I haven't done this before. You guys let me know if it's working.
Nothing just yet.
Yeah.
How big was your position? Sorry.
What's that?
How big was the position in your portfolio? What type of weighting?
It wasn't big. I was just kind of starting to get comfortable buying individual securities. So, it wouldn't have made a huge difference at this point. But what I wanted to pull up was from Morningstar, just what the price to earnings has done, what the earnings yield was back in 2016. I think it was even on the Magic Formula screener. Like it was a top 30, minimum 50 million market cap, Apple. So, I knew it was cheap, and I just didn't have that conviction to hold on, or I didn't have that framework yet, that framework of just buying and holding, letting the company compound the money rather than, trying to outsmart, these great businesses. So it feels like a really timely learning as I kind of shift a little bit more into the long-term compounders. So it's something I'm trying to drill into my head. So Apple.
Yeah. So can you recall why you sold? You were just happy with 50,
I think it was,
which is a nice way to make a mistake, by the way.
It was my framework. It was my framework at the moment.
Yeah.
Buy a couple stocks a year, hold for just over a year. I think I was exposed to Joel Greenblatt's, method early on with the Magic Formula. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was just kind of how I was going about it. But yeah, I'm kicking myself.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just, I'm not sure if you're still trying to share that, Brad, but I didn't see a chart come up. I'm just looking up some PE ratio history for Apple as well, and it doesn't look like they got over 20 times earnings until late 2019 even. It was down there for a while. And from memory, they were really starting to, they had quite a bit of cash in 2016, as I recall it as well, and were really starting to pump buybacks and increase dividends and things as well, which obviously has worked out really well through to now.
I think it was a PE of 12 when I bought it, and currently it's a PE of 30. At the end of last year, it was up to 40.
They got as low as about 10 times earnings in 2016 as well. I'm just looking at the chart at the moment.
Right. And I saw the acquirer's multiple was 10. Acquirer's multiple was 10.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you look at it on an EV basis, or even if you back out the cash, it might have been more like 8 times earnings even, because they had so much sitting there at that point.
Right. So much cash compared to
EV to EBIT got as low as 6. I'm looking at.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is pretty crazy for a company like Apple.
It's nuts.
I know they were going through a time period where a lot of people, I think we talked about this on your podcast, Tom, that I did with you. It was seen as a hardware company, and they thought these margins were going to contract moving forward. So a lot of the big shareholders thought the growth was done. It's a hardware company. There's nowhere to go. Margins are going to contract over time. But I think if you could see it as more of a software company that it really is, and all the different ways they could generate revenue, it was definitely a great opportunity, which is, I guess, what Buffett saw around that same time. And it's probably been one of his best investments, I guess.
I mean, I'm sure the App Store was cranking out cash at that point, right?
Yeah, for sure. And just how strong the brand was too. Like, I think that was pretty underestimated until the last 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, people were concerned about, people keeping their iPhones longer before they upgraded and all that sort of thing. And I think they had probably their first flat or down year of iPhone sales ever. But at the same time, the services business was compounding at like 30% a year or something from a small base, granted, but it was becoming a more important part of the business. And I'm blanking on the details a little bit here, but I think another concern people had with that cash was it was in Ireland and all these offshore accounts and stuff, and they were worried about like big tax hits and things as well. So potentially that meant that people didn't give the cash maybe the credit it might have deserved.
So I'm just looking at the revenues since 2010. They were increasing just approximately about 30% on average through to 2016, and then they took a loss of about 7% down on their revenues. So I guess that's when people thought
show's
they were
over.
in a bit of trouble. Yeah. But boy, were they wrong.
Sure were.
I think the biggest catalyst for Apple was Carl Icahn taking the stake in 2016, because he's the one who kind of made them get into buybacks, right? Before that was not really a thought for the company. So I think he has been a huge catalyst to change, although he got out, I think, in 2016. So
do you know what size stake he took?
I think he bought in like 1 or 2 billion.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
because he's usually an activist style investor, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah. He was looking to use the cash better.
Yeah.
So that was his intention. I think Buffett bought in, around the same time,
Yeah, you've got to be a pretty serious activist to make the needle move at Apple, don't you?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how activist can you be? How activist can you go on a company that big?
Yeah,
I think
for
Carl
sure.
Icahn is taking a stake anywhere makes a difference. Like just his name, associated with the company kind of shakes management up a bit.